You guys, hope you're doing good. So today I have another client case study. We jumped on an interview because he was also killing it. His name is Jimmy. He's straight out of Toronto, so like 6 hours away from where I live. Yeah, I thought it would be pretty special to jump on a call with him because he's also achieved, pretty, remarkable success in a short, time span. He literally had been trying to start an agency and scale it, but he didn't really succeed much in his first year of business. He joined our program, ended up pivoting to an appointment setting offer. In his second month of, after the building phase that we have in our program, he ended up scaling to literally 4 clients in less than 21 days, or 4 clients in like 30 days, I'd say. And he's now making over like $11,000, $12,000 a month, which is pretty cool because he's still in, I think he's going to university or college. And yeah, it doesn't take much to win if you have the right infrastructures. So yeah, hopefully you guys will get to enjoy this interview. It was pretty cool to ask him a few questions. He also got to ask me a few questions. Yeah, I love seeing people win. And maybe one day you'll also come and win with us, right? But please enjoy this interview. GrowSpecialist.io program launching very soon if you're someone who's not necessarily pushing a business, but you're just on the fence, you're trying to figure out what path you should take, then GrowSpecialist.io is the right thing for you. But if you're running a business and you need the right infrastructure to scale past $500,000 profit every single year, then use the $500,000 thesis and get both links, either the waitlist or the webinar link below. Okay, let's get to work. Bye-bye. So yeah, how has been your schedule recently since all the success recently?
Yeah, it's been really busy. So for me, right, just to walk through the day, my day usually starts at like 9:30 a.m. and then I do some team calls.
Yeah.
And it got a ton of sales calls throughout the day. Usually my calendar ends at 5 p.m. And then after that, go to the gym and then do some work later at night. But pretty packed day, right? And wouldn't have it any other way.
Yeah, no, I love it. Yeah, so I wanted to, I've been seeing your wins in the community, and I was like, wow, this, you're killing it. And one of the things that I want to focus on this quarter is to start this podcast called the Natural Born Leader pod. I want to really push this brand of natural born leaders because I feel like, yeah, clone acquisition that is good, but you need something bigger than just business, right? And I feel like for me, success is not just measured on how many sales calls you generate or how many closed deals you get. It's more about a certain way you behave and how you conduct yourself as a human being. And I feel like the Natural Born Leader brand is going to be something bigger, something that that has a bigger impact than just, hey, let me help you scale your company. So yeah, wanted you to have you on and just talk about your story, right? The first things first that I would want you to do is just introduce yourself, introduce what you do, your offer, etc.
Yeah, so I'm Jimmy. I'm the founder of a company called Burrow Group, and pretty much what we do is we help B2B service-based businesses book more qualified sales calls. So that's pretty much what I do in a nutshell. I've been running this specific agency, so I started in October. Like my specific appointment setting agency was in October. Got into Serge, your program, I think around Halloween time. And that was the timeline, right? But even before that, so last year, my first agency that I ever started was an email marketing agency. So it was like Klaviyo and SMS for e-commerce brands, and got a couple clients. But then the way that I signed those clients, because a lot of people always say e-com is really saturated and it's really hard to book meetings and stuff like that. I was just sending cold emails for myself, and I was getting a bunch of calls. So I realized that I think a lot of people it's something that they need help with, right? Because the worst type of problem is not having customers, but also not having sales calls, right? So I was like, I think I can help people with this. And then I saw that cold emails, right? There's a lot about that, right? And it's really effective. And that's pretty much what I do now, right? So helping other businesses book sales calls using cold emails. And that's essentially what I do.
Nice. What made you, okay, I understand the logic of, helping people book more sales calls. But what happened with Ecom? What made you switch from email to? Is it made because you just mentioned something that's pretty funny because it's the same realization that I went through. where when I was scaling my agency, I realized that like, oh fuck, man, this is shit is hard, right?
Mhm.
And I ended up just going a bit more in depth and learning how to do outbound prospecting, not necessarily through email outreach, but specifically social outreach. And ended up just figuring out a mechanism that works. So for your switch, did you struggle with, did you also have a hard time booking calls with brands?
Mhm. Yeah, I think in the beginning I did, but then after a while, it got to a point where I was getting, I want to say 3 to 5 like sales calls a week.
Mm-hmm.
But what I realized really quickly was because I was doing Klaviyo. So the reason I got into it was because I think I saw like an ad or something, right, from someone who's teaching like email marketing, and I knew nothing about that business. So I was like, let me just dive right into this. And I realized that a lot of brands, right, like the big ecom brands, like there's a lot of stores, but a tiny portion of those ecom brands are qualified, right? Meaning that money, they have a good product. And then I realized that email marketing is very back end. So like if the store is shit, if they're selling shitty products, if they just don't
Yep.
have people coming onto their website, the emails aren't doing
Mm-hmm.
anything for them because they won't even see them. So I realized
Yeah.
that that aspect of that business was like, is an aspect I can't really control. And it was just really challenging to get results, especially as a beginner.
Mm.
And then I realized that there's, again, right, there's just so much demand for booking meetings. And I looked at what it is and realized that the way I book meetings, the service delivery is not completely different, right? So it's relatively similar, and it's something that could be replicated for other people, right? And I think that was the basic idea behind that.
Yeah. No, that's good. That's good. I mean, that's fastest way to get service market fit by just experiencing the problem yourself and just delivering the solution. So one question I had for you, how old are you?
I'm 22 years old.
Nice, love it. And I know you've been seeing some pretty good wins, and we can go a bit more into that. Like how long did it take you to sign your first client after you joined the program with this new offer?
Yeah, it was really quick. So I joined the program, I want to say October 27, 28, 29, somewhere around there. And then I signed my first paying client on December 1st.
Mhm.
So like around a month after that. And I think the biggest thing, so just even speaking about your program, so it's actually pretty funny because back in the days, a year ago when I was running
Yeah.
the comm agency, I actually set up a call with your team, Serge, with Hassan. At that time, I was really on the fence, but I decided this wasn't for me, right? And I watched a bunch of your content, saw how you did, how you rolled, things like that. And then 6 months later, half a year later, set up another call with Hassan and joined the program. But I think
Some cut out. It cut out for a little bit. So you were saying back in the days with your old agency,
yeah.
that's where it cut.
So last year I actually set up a call with Hassan. At that
Okay.
time, so that was I think around March or April. And at that time, I was like, nah, this isn't for me. But then I saw a bunch of your content. And then 6 months later in October, I joined the program, right? And for more than in May. So I saw that, right? And then I think it was just really valuable, right? And I think the largest benefit towards your program, right? Something that I don't really hear you talk too much about, or what a lot of people talk too much, because a lot of people focus on like the content and stuff like that, right? But I think it's
Yeah.
the community that is truly where the value is, because it's pretty expensive, like your service, right? So the people
Yeah.
who are there, they either have money or they have like some form of business that allows them to like afford it. So the people in there, they're killers, right? And there's just so much resources that you could like tap to, talk to, different people you could talk to, different things like that. And I think it was just really valuable.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. I even think that, even with this new thing that I'm launching next month, Grow Specialist that I realized that my focus is going to be mostly around how can I make this the most valuable community, right?
Mhm.
Meaning the type of community where you generally want to be in, regardless if let's say you're signing clients or not. It's like, no, it's a place where you feel like it's part of your identity, right?
Right.
Because at the end of the day, it's like if you're not surrounded by people who want the same thing as you, who have the same things that you desire, it is so much harder to actually get those things, right?
Mhm.
It's like even for me, I may not necessarily be in a lot of masterminds, but a lot of my time is spent just listening to podcasts, spending a lot of time with headphones on and just listening to people who are where I want to be and that I need to be, right? So it's like whatever you can do, figure out a way to surround yourself with people who are where you need to be. So yeah, it's super key, super key. So yeah, so how much was your first client for? How much did they pay you?
The first one was 2.5. And then now I'm at 3. So like all my clients right now, so I have 4 clients. And they're all between 2.5 and 3,000 USD. So I'm in Canada, but it's USD, so it's a little bit better, right? But then everything I pay for is also USD as well, right? So it is what it is.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, you're chilling in Canada. I love charging USD. Yeah, so you're now, how many clients do you have?
4.
So you signed your first client in, you said December, and then in the last 4 weeks and a half, you've signed 4 new clients.
Mm-hmm.
So how much are you making per month?
Right now it's around 11K USD. So that's what it is. But I think what it is too is since I took on a bunch of clients, like assigned them, working with them, now my focus is more so on like fulfillment and just building a team around me. I think there's a lot of like even the stuff that you talk about, Serge, I think your content is very valuable. I think one of the most valuable like things that I've ever watched from you, it was one of the videos on like the Monday like replay in the community, but then you also published it on your YouTube channel, and you're talking how if you were starting, what you would do is build a team around you, right? And then I think that was just a really powerful concept, and I think that was the video. Like I remember listening to that exact video while I was in the gym, right? And I remember listening to that, and a light bulb like switched, because previous to that, the way I saw business was very linear, right? Like you make 1K, 2K, 3K, very linear. But then I think somewhere on that video, you mentioned that the difference between someone making 10K and 100K is the guy making 100K is doing what that guy doing 10K is, except in like 3 or 4 days of the time, right? Like he really compressed that timeline. And I think once I heard that and thought about that, it really shifted my how I saw business and how I saw business. But yeah, that was really, really good.
Yeah, I love it. I love when I see a lot of more people understand the game, because the game is counterintuitive. A lot of people don't understand this. It's like when you start making money, you actually there's such a big risk to get lost into making the money. You know what I mean? Like right now you're at 10, 12, 12K a month. It's like at your age, bro, it's like, that's a lot of fucking money, right? It's not a lot of fucking money, but it's like you can live comfortably. There's nothing that you currently would want that you can't get, right?
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of people will just settle for making 6 figures a year, or even multiple 6 figures. But it's like anyone watching this video, anyone listening to this talk, it's like, please do not settle for what you're doing. It's like you have to figure out how to achieve something. Now your focus should be to build a machine that creates the same amount of value that you're creating, which is 12K a month worth of value. How can you create it every single day? How can you create it every single hour? How can you create it every single second, right? Mm-hmm. And you can't do that without a team. It's like it takes a team to be productive, right? So yeah, it's, for me, my mindset has generally been around like, how can I get into an industry where a lot of people are just trying to make 10K, 20K, 30K, 50K a month, and get them to think as leaders who want to build $1 billion companies, because that's what I aspire to build, right? So even if you're at 10K a month, I don't want you thinking like someone who just want to make 25K a month. I want you knowing how to build $100 million company, an 8-figure company, because if you understand it, then it's unreasonable for you not to do it if you decided to want to do it, right? So yeah, I really like that. And that's why I posted that video on YouTube. To me personally, when I talk about stuff that is super important, I don't care that it's for the community members, because insights are not meant to be gated. It's not meant to be conserved in a fucking course or a group, right? I don't like that. So if I talk about shit that is good, I want as many people to watch it. I want as many people to consume it, because you know what? I would bet that if I had not posted that video on YouTube, you yourself would have never watched it, right? So it's pretty funny. It's like YouTube is the place where even my clients who paid me thousands and thousands of dollars for go to watch stuff that they get access to, right? So it's like it's a more of a convenience, and it's a more of a habit loop with YouTube than it is with, because it's not like you wake up every day and you want to go check out what we talked about in the community and all the channels, right? But
Right.
YouTube, you're probably guaranteed that you'll check it at least once a day. So,
Mhm.
so yeah, no, that's pretty good. But no, let's not, yeah, let's go back to you. So, you are in a specific niche right now, right? I know you mentioned you're helping B2B companies, but what niche specifically?
Recruitment and staffing. So that's
How did
where,
you pick that niche?
yeah, I was just thinking, right? Because like even right now, so I'm actually still in university. So I'm in Toronto. I go to school in Toronto, and I'm
Nice,
actually in my last semester, so graduating in like 3 or 4 months. But so like a lot of my
nice.
peers around me, they're like really deep into like the job search. And then I realized that these recruitment firms, chances are, because it's sales at the end of the day, what they're doing is it's a sales business, right? And in sales, you just have to fill your pipeline. And I just knew for a fact that they didn't know how to do that, right? I watched some YouTube videos too. Some of the people teaching the strategies is not the best way, and it's just not that efficient. And I looked at it and I was just
Mhm.
like, if this guy's teaching it and he has like a Facebook group and stuff like that, then there's a really large opportunity in that market. And that's where I started, right? Got my foot through the door through
Nice.
recruitment and staffing agencies. But yeah, I think it's a really good niche if you could get results for it. But yeah.
Yeah, that's nice. That's nice. I love it. I love how you were able to connect you finishing school and having your colleagues want to go get jobs, and you were able to connect it with the ability to, it's like you got an insight, right? There's one
Mhm.
great podcast that I keep mentioning, the Knowledge Project, and there was this VC guy who came on, and he was talking about like the best entrepreneurs are leaving in the future, meaning they are, of course, they take into consideration of the present, but
Mhm.
they know something that not many people are aware of, right?
Right.
And the funny thing is that a lot of people try to avoid failing, and they avoid, doing things that are inefficient, as an example, going to school. But they don't realize that like it's only by having experience that you get to see the world from a specific perspective that gives
Mhm.
you the insights that you need to have information advantage, right? Like if you had quit school, maybe you would have never actually made up the connections, and when I say connections, I'm not talking about like people connections, but I'm talking about like connecting the ideas together to make a hypothesis on your
Mhm.
offer, right? So that like it's like, yeah, going to school may, you may not necessarily go into doing the things that you're graduating for, but the fact that you went to school led you to figuring out an insight that helps you build a really successful business. So that's pretty cool. Nice, nice. So have you like figured out a way? So like when you're doing outbound for them, have you also started using? Because I know you said you were good with email, but have you also thought of using social outreach for them?
Yeah. So this is what like the discussion I've had with the clients is, so right now we're very focused on cold emails, but I think the best way forward is for them to shift into like content, because like when you're cold emailing people, like I could cold email you, Serge, and you would not know who I am. You just see my name, Jimmy,
Yeah,
and you'd be like, who's this? Who's this dude? And if you search me on Google
yeah,
and you see nothing, you'd be like, yeah, I'm just gonna move on. You probably get like tens, 15 emails selling
yep,
very similar things. So what I tell my clients is have a very heavy focus on content. And you teach this all the time, right? That's what sells.
yep,
That's what puts a face to your name. And I think that's the way forward to really separate yourself from a lot of the other people who are just commoditized inside the industry, because they all sell the same shit and they all say the exact same thing. So I think content
yeah,
is the way forward. And that's kind of what I'm really telling the clients. Focus on content, and then we could push that when we're doing the outreach as well. But yeah, I think to
yeah,
answer your question, haven't focused too much on the social media side for them, mainly because what I'm helping them do is connecting them with employers. So just reaching out to those like that, like for example, like the VP of engineering
mm,
at, let's say Amazon, for example, right? I feel like that might be more effective than like doing it like messaging someone on like Facebook. But
mhm.
yeah, just focusing very hard on content, even for myself, right? But that's the over idea.
Okay, cool. So for your acquisition, are you helping them find contracts, or are you helping them find people?
Yeah, right now it's helping them find like companies that are looking to hire. And so pretty much the recruitment agency. So my client would be approaching these companies and being like, hey, do you have any hiring plans for Q1, for this year, stuff like that. And that's the basic idea. So helping them find these companies. And I think one of the most important things that I learned, right, is, and part of the reason why I chose this niche as well is because there's a really large inefficiency, right? So for example, for recruitment, for hiring, it's like a cycle and it follows the economy like really, really closely. So for example, right, we see like the news, like Google laid off 10% of people, Amazon, Microsoft, all these companies, right? So it's really tough right now. And what I tell like these recruitment companies is what worked for you half a year ago, what worked for you a year ago, it might not work. It might not even work today, right? And with the ever-changing economic cycles, you just have to adapt, and that's called business. And if you're using what worked 2 years ago and it doesn't work, you're fucked, right? If you're not signing clients and you're like, it's just not going to work, right? And that's kind of the idea of what I tell the clients, right? And they see the value of what I'm doing, and they take that risk. They jump in, and I think that's what it is.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, it's like, it's funny that you mentioned it. It's like bad news could literally be an advantage for you, right? Because most people who are helping recruitment agencies will probably see the news and be like, oh my God, there's no more business. No. But like you just saw it as an opportunity to just have a different sales argument, which is, hey, it is hard. So you gotta pivot it, innovate, right?
Yeah.
So therefore you need my services. That's funny. I like it. No, that's pretty cool. So how did you find out more about us and about me? Like, where did you find me at first?
Yeah, so I found you on YouTube. So what it is, so when I first started the agency, I bought a couple courses, right? So that's what I just did off the bat. And then like similar to what you're saying earlier, Serge.
Which courses did you buy?
I bought an email marketing course, Klaviyo email marketing course. I bought I bought Sanders Stages, like his Facebook Academy, Montel Gordon's like Facebook stuff as well. But then I like downloaded a bunch of shit, right? And I think that was super helpful. Like, okay, a lot of courses, they're garbage, but some of them have very strong value and insights. And I just downloaded a lot of courses and went through them. But then I realized that they're all saying very similar things. And I feel like some of these guys who are selling these courses, they don't even run agencies, right? Like I look at their website, I'm like, what is this shit, right? And then they're out here trying to say that they run like 100K, 200K agencies, but then they have like no case studies, right? So I went on YouTube and started looking, and then obviously you were going really hard into content, and I just watched a bunch of your videos, and I was like, this guy's speaking facts. And I think what made you different from a lot of other people is a lot of these YouTubers, especially the ones who sell courses, right? They tell you, but in they're gatekeeping because they want you to, they're showing you kind of like a trial. This is what I'm telling you. If you pay me $800, $799, $999, I'll tell you the rest, right? And that's what a lot of people do. And I think similar to what you mentioned, that's not a really efficient way of running a business going into the future. Like a lot of people made a lot of money doing that in the past, but then we live in a time where information is freely available on YouTube. If you search the right things, you go to ChatGPT and it could write a whole essay for you, right? I think things are changing really quickly, and you just can't be gatekeeping information like that anymore because people find it either way.
Isn't it funny that you paid me more money than you paid these guys, and I actually gave away more knowledge before you bought? Like, isn't it funny that the guys who gatekeep knowledge, logically, it would be like, hey, the less you give, the more people will want. I mean, not logically. If you understand psychology, then it won't be logical. But most people who think at a base level will think that if I give away knowledge, then I can't sell anything, right? Or I'm giving away the things that I'm supposed to sell. But if you really think about it, or if you look at the average lifetime value of each client of ours, it's like it's way higher than people who have bigger audiences than me and bigger pay YouTube pages, right? So, and this is something that I really want to push hard, and that's why I did the $500,000 webinar about the $500,000 thesis, where it's not about getting the most amount of sales, it's getting the most amount of users and viewers and people who consume your content. Because once you have that, then you can do the big numbers. But if you're gatekeeping your most important insight, then you're generally going to be I don't even know if I can even, you're not even going to be part of the game, or nobody's even going to know you, right?
Mhm.
But yeah, I see a lot of these guys selling courses. I'm like, you're doing it wrong. You're doing it wrong so much, right? And that's why I even want to start to do these interviews, because I feel like, you know, you're winning. Why wouldn't it be amazing for you to come here and share your wins, right?
Mhm.
Some people may think that, oh, well, if you share your wins, if you share your niche, then it's going to be a bit more competitive. But it's like, no, it's not. Maybe
Mhm.
someone is going to come to you, Jimmy, and be like, hey, Jimmy, I want to start targeting the same niche as you. Can I pay you for more help? Right. So it's like, it's like the more you give, the more you will inevitably receive more. But you never, it won't necessarily be like a straight path. It's not like, oh, you come on YouTube and you tell them the most important thing and then you're going to make money. No, it's like the return of value may come into a different shape or form. So, but you just got to know that, like, just like gravity, you just got to believe that if I give away knowledge, the most important knowledge is going to come back tenfold, right? But yeah, that's why I've been going crazy on YouTube, man. Been going crazy. I'm gonna be even going crazier this year. It's gonna be ridiculous.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. Since you've joined the program, like, what is something that, because I don't know what's valuable for you. I know what's valuable for me. I don't know what you found the most valuable, but in the program, like, what do you think was the most valuable thing for you, or what is something that you learned that has been helping you, or maybe a system? It could be a team, it could be the setters, it could be like, what is the value? Where did you get most of the value or most of the transformation from?
Yeah, I think the part where I got the most transformation was definitely seeing how you moved and trying to emulate that. So I think a really large
Mhm.
aspect of that was previous to joining the program. The way I thought about business, it was just an idea, a theoretical concept. But then once I came into the program, I saw how you systematized everything. You have different people running different teams and different operations. And but essentially, right, I was coming in through the point of view of a customer going through your business. And I saw,
Mhm.
so this is how Serge hired a CSM, right? This is how he is providing the service without to 300 people without him spending 15 hours a day, like doing all this
Yeah.
shit, right? So I looked at
Yeah.
that and I think it really ties back to the idea of being surrounded by people who are where you want to be, right? If you wanted to open a restaurant by yourself, so for me, I don't know how to cook, right? If I wanted to open a sushi restaurant, there's a 99.9% chance it's not going to go in my favor, right? But if I opened
Yeah.
it with Gordon Ramsay, the chance of me failing is much less. And I think a large percentage of me failing would be if I just gave up, right? But if he was a contact on my phone and I could hit him up whenever I had problems, asking for advice, my chance of
Yeah.
failing in the restaurant business is significantly lower, right? And I think that's what
Yeah.
it is. It's just being surrounded by, like, even you, Serge, right? Someone who's just in the business, who's walked through a similar step. And I think that's the most valuable thing, right? I think a lot of people believe that there's like magic templates, magic scripts, shit like that. But there's no
Yeah.
people it's just a conversation, right? Like there's no magic, nothing magical to it,
Yeah.
right? It's just you're
Yeah.
just doing it over and over again, doing the right things every single day. And I think that's what it is. And that's what I saw just from looking at you and trying to emulate that.
Yeah. No, I think it's probably one of the most important thing that most people can understand. It's like understanding that, like, eventually you'll get to a point where you're not buying programs because of, oh, you need setters or you need this, but instead you're buying it to see how things are structured, right?
Hmm.
um I remember I bought into a program, probably the only program I've ever bought into, actually. Paid for like 8 grand for it, probably the most money I've ever spent for a program, because that's the only program I've ever bought. To be honest, I'm trying to find masterminds I can buy into, but it's like I can't see I can't find anyone inspiring me enough to be in their program, right? Sam Ovens is
Hmm.
closing his down, but I didn't want to get into his because all he focuses on is like, hey, let me sell a course on his school platform and then let me just get it to 100K profit. It's like, no, I'd rather be chilling with you, seeing how you're building school. I don't want you to tell me how to sell a product, right? I don't care about that. So, but anyway, like, I got into the program that I paid 8 grand for, and the only thing I learned, which a lot more people would get into it and be like, oh, you know what? I'm so mad. I didn't get any value. I didn't get any growth. But back in the day, I was already making like 30, 40 G's a month. But the only thing I learned was like, oh shit, this guy just sold me an $8,000 program and there isn't actually much value in it, but I still bought. So I was like,
Hmm.
fuck, how did he do it? And I was like, oh shit, this guy is going crazy with social proof, case studies, every day, bro. Like
Mhm.
every day sharing his wins. And I was like, oh, it makes sense. And that was more more value than I could have ever been able to pay for. Just learning how he actually acquires clients, not necessarily how he's teaching people how to scale their businesses. So, it's funny that you've also understood that, because in our program, you get a lot of features, right? But the only
Mhm.
thing you just mentioned is the fact that you just got to look how things are structured. And that was the most valuable thing. So yeah, I like it. I like it. I can see you're my twin. I fuck with it. So cool. So what's your goal? What is Jimmy's goal? Like what is your future? Like, do you wake up? Do you have things you look forward to? Because now you figure out how to make money. Now it's just a matter of time, and you just compounding every day, just building and building, and you'll never inevitably get to whatever revenue you want. But what is your life now? Have you built a vision for your life?
Mhm.
Do you have
Yeah,
cars you want to be driving?
yeah,
What is
man.
it?
Yeah, man. Couple of things. So, I think for me is right now, like I wake up every single day, right? And this is something that I didn't really understand until I started making money, is when I was not making money and I was waking up every day and being like, shit, how do I do this? I was looking at people who were making money, people like Iman, people like you, and being like, oh, this guy's living the life. He's blessed every single day. He's just chilling, right? But then I realized that that's not the reality, right? Someone like Iman, someone like you guys just learned how to deal with that uncertainty, how to deal with the doubt, and how to problem solve at like just better, right? That's literally what it is. You
Mhm.
guys still deal with problems, in fact, probably more and higher intensity, right? You guys just know how to deal with it. So
Mhm.
even right now, every single day I'm waking up, putting out fires, but I wouldn't have it any other way, right? So a
Yeah.
couple of years ago, I actually started. So my first job was at McDonald's, and I hated that shit so much. And I was only there for like 3 months. And whenever I
Mhm.
go through periods of like just really stressful stuff like that, I think back to that moment and I'm like, I never want to be in that position again, right? I was waking up and I was just waking up and working for the money. That's literally what it is, right? Like I gave
Yeah.
zero shits about like the actual job. And I realized that I think I need to actually somewhat enjoy what I'm doing. And I think a lot of that is because I'm building something for myself around me, right? And I think it's just a very empowering feeling. I think you mentioned somewhere as well in one of like the videos or one of the contents that you released, a business is much more fun to run when you have people around you, when you're not like in the trenches every single day, messaging people on Instagram, right? And feeling emotional in some way when
Yeah.
someone leaves you on red. And I think that's
Mhm.
very true. So just building a business where I wake up and I'm inspired every single day is the most important thing, because it's not always about the money, right? Like when you don't have money, you look at someone who does and you're like, yeah, if I was making 50K a month, 100K a month, I'll be hyped and motivated all the time, right? But then
Yeah.
after you get to a certain point and you're no longer broke and you could pay for like your expenses and shit like that, I think a lot of it is more about the the utility that you gain from like your life, right? Like just
Yeah.
enjoying doing your shit as opposed to making more money. And I think that's what
Yeah.
it is, right? And I think just building something where I wake up and I'm just excited to just work. I think that's the number one goal.
Yeah. Love it. Well, I love it. I love it. I love it. So, how is your lifestyle going to be? Do you have? Because for me, I posted this thing yesterday on my story. It was like a Serge Guitar identity thing that I designed 2 years ago when I went through Sam Oven's accelerator thing, which I didn't buy, by the way. I just downloaded it for free too. Didn't have the money back then, but now, but I did end up buying it. But just to thank Sam for his product. But I had designed like, hey, I need a great view. I need cars. I need to be able to. I need to be able to enjoy solitude. I need to be able to, I had books on that, that sheet, and things that I would want to evolve into.
Mhm.
So for me, so my question to you is like, do you have that clearly designed in your mind? Maybe not necessarily on a sheet, but are there things that you look forward to doing, to experiencing, in the future, in the near future?
Yeah, 100%, man. So even though I just said not everything's about the money, it is though, right? Because
Yeah.
you're in business, right? You're not running a nonprofit, right? You're not running a
Hmm.
charity. So I still do have a lot of goals. I personally like cars a lot as well. So I really want to own a really nice car. Yeah, I think that's what it is. But yeah, I do like just looking into who I want to become like 3, 4, 5 years down the line. I think a lot of that has to do with having the choice to do what I want, right? So for example, if let's say I walk into a store and I see a really nice watch for 5Gs, right? I don't want to be in a position where my decision is based on the number, right? If I want it, I want to be like, if I really want it like that, I want to be in a position to just be able to make that decision on the spot, just purely based on how I feel about that and not so much about the numbers. And I think that's where I want to get to in my life, being able to just have those choices. If I want to travel for 3 weeks to Asia or Europe or some shit, right? I don't want to like ask someone else for permission, and I still want to have a business that just works and provides value while I'm not necessarily sitting in front of my computer every single day. And I think that's the overall idea of how I envision my life going, and working every day to get there.
So what car are you looking? What car are you interested in? What car? Let's say how much money do you think you'll be, or what car? And then how much revenue do you want to be? Do you want to be where you want to be at before you get that car?
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple cars like my dream car collection. So I really want a 911. It's a really nice car. I think it really depends, right? Because it really depends on how, like, what you want to focus on. Like I see like a bunch of TikToks on people saying, oh yeah, you want to drive a Lamborghini, how much money do you have to make, right? But I think that's all about perspective, right? Because if some people, they just really like cars, so obviously they'll spend more money on cars than people who just don't give a shit about it. So yeah, I think the Porsche 911 is one of my dream cars. I think the Urus is one of my dream cars as well. It's really those two cars. Like I live in Toronto, so they're rare, but they're not super rare, right? Like I see them like once in a while. Every time I see it, I get really, really inspired. And I'm like, yeah, I want that shit. Yeah. But yeah.
How about you get a Urus before the end of the year, or a Porsche?
Yeah, I mean, I think that would be really nice. Yeah, like I think that's really good. But I think for me,
but you need to be. No. It's not about. We don't have to wait for it when you're 25. I've waited too long. I've realized that like I've lived my life too. It's like it's not about toning your goals down. It's about toning your fucking actions up, right? Mm-hmm. Meaning, if I wanted to buy this home that we're living in Cape Town, most people would be like, hey, Serge, yeah, you're making a lot of money, but it's like, wait, go work, wait a year. Let's say they'll be like, oh, I'll keep making 200 grand, 400 grand profit every month. And then eventually I'll have $5 million in the next 2-3 years in the bank, and then I can go buy shit. For me, it's completely different. The way that I think, and maybe it can be helpful for you, it's the way that I think is I set a goal for what I want. I set a timeline. Mm-hmm. And that timeline needs to be 6 to 12 months. And I get what the fuck I want. But in order for me to do that, then I need to hit a specific business goal. So for me, I like to put material stuff or, things that I would love, experiences that I would love to have as the goal, but then I attach it to a goal, business goal. So I might be like, hey, this year I want to do $1 million or $2 million in a month, maybe $1 million profit. But if I do that, then I need a $250,000 car that same month, right? Not buy it outright, but maybe get it, even if it's a lease. Even if I could afford it right now, I will not get the car that I want unless I hit the goal, the milestone that I set for myself. But the thing is, the reason why I say like, why don't you get it this year is because you need to get the shit you want as fast as fucking possible. Because once you get them, then you really start building for the sake of building, not building to get a fucking car, right? But it's still pretty fun to fucking work and then get the thing you like, right? So it's like it's like the simple pleasures of fucking winning, where you're like, yo, I know how to make 12 grand a month. I like the Porsche. How about I get to 120K a month by the end of this year? And then I put 2 grand, 3 grand a month on a Porsche. Like, what's that going to do for you? It's not going to represent any, much. It's going to be like a few percentage on your revenue, on your profit. But for your happiness and for your drive in business, it's going to fucking be amazing, bro. Right? Mm-hmm. So if I could give you one advice is don't wait till you're 24 to get it. Work fucking hard to get it this year.
Yeah, I completely agree. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, man, just working hard every single day. I think we'll get there. I think I'll get there for sure. I think just gotta stay focused on the day to day as well, right? Just making sure every single day I'm waking up and doing those things, right? I think
100%.
like even for me, right? Like I have a whiteboard in my room, right? Like over there, right? And there's only 4 things. So whenever I had doubt, I wrote down 4 things. What are the 4 things that moves the needle, right? And those are the 4, like whenever I don't know what I should be doing next, I just think about those 4 things and just do it, right? And yeah, I'm certain I'll get there when I just put in the
Love
reps.
it. Easy. Yeah, get clarity, get clarity. How has it been with your parents?
Yeah, my parents there are on, I think they're on board. So what it is I think my parents, they just, as most parents, they just want their kid to be successful. I don't think they necessarily give a shit about their kid becoming millionaires, which is why I think most of them are like go through school, because they just don't want the kid to be like a bum when they're 40 years old, and rightfully so.
Yeah.
So for me, right, I'm still in school and I did like a couple internships and stuff like that. But then my focus has shifted to building a business. And I think my parents, like, they just see the work, right? They know that I'm taking it seriously. I'm not just like playing video games in my room every single day doing nothing, right? So I think they see that, and I guess they respect the grind or something. And they're just pretty supportive about that. So really appreciate.
Have you told them how much money you're making now?
They have a rough idea, because then like every time I close a client, I screenshot it, right? And then I send it in the family WhatsApp, and then they're like, all my family's like hyped and shit. But yeah, man.
Let's go. Isn't that the best feeling ever?
It is 100%, right? 100%.
Yeah. I get more pleasure from seeing my dad share my 500K a month screenshot than I get from seeing it myself.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, it's just it's the best thing. It's the best, it's the simple things in life, man. It's not about making it. It's, just being able to show the people that love you and that you love that, life is going to be better, right? So to end this call, one thing that I wanted to ask you is, what is the one thing that you tell your the you from a year ago to achieve the current success much faster? Like, what is, you have to pick one thing, or maybe 2 or 3. You tell me how many things you want to share. That's where we go back to beginning of 2022. You need these 3 things or 2 things or 1 thing to achieve the success, and even 10 times more success that you have right now sooner. What would you tell yourself?
I think just simplify the process and don't overcomplicate it. So it's even tying back to some of the stuff that we were talking about earlier, like the courses. Everyone teaches what, if they, let's assume that the people teaching it actually do run these successful agencies, right? What they're teaching is only from their perspective and what worked for them, right? They're obviously not sharing something if it didn't work for them, right? But there's so much information out there that it's easy to get overwhelmed and not sure what to focus on. But realistically, you don't need to know 10 things. You only need to know 1 or 2 things, and just move on those 1 or 2 things, and it'll get you 80 or 90% of the way. So I think just simplifying that process, figuring out what are the 3 or 4 things that move the needle, and just focus every single day on that, and don't spend too much time worrying about the other things that are not fitting within that list of things, right? And I think that's what I would tell myself.
Yeah, cool. Love it. So just figure out the 1 or 2, 3 things, 4 things for activities that matter. And then just don't lose any time worrying about, hey, what if this doesn't work? What if this doesn't work? Don't worry about that. Just focus on what will make it work, right? And my last question is, what was holding you from reaching your current success? Why do you think you didn't hit it last year? Why didn't you hit 10K a month in the first 3 months of you running an agency?
I think I just wasn't surrounded by people who were doing it. So I didn't have a roadmap in my mind of what that would look like. So once I started surrounding myself, mainly from your community, right? Again, right? It's expensive. And I think one of the benefits is the people who can't afford it, they're probably running a business or have resources to do so. So being surrounded by people doing 50K a month, 70K a month, more, even like you, right, Serge? I think that was the biggest difference in my mind, 100%.
Love it. I love it, man. Yeah. No, man, can't wait. So what's the revenue goal this year?
I'm trying to hit 50K by the summer. So growing really aggressively, but yeah, every single day, just thinking about it. I actually have it as as a wallpaper, my screenshot. I don't know if you see it, but
Let's
it just says
go.
50K a month. And I
Yeah.
wake up, see it every single day. I think about it and think about how I get there. But yeah,
Yeah. I love it. I also had the 500K a month goal here.
that's awesome.
So yeah, I love it. Yeah, if you see it every day, you're gonna do it. You're gonna achieve it. I can 100%. There's no way. It's like if you see crack every day, you're gonna start doing crack. It's like if you see a glass of wine in front of you every day, you're gonna start drinking alcohol. If you see targets of revenue every day, you're gonna start making ridiculous amounts of money. But most people, they make two mistakes. They never set out the goals in the first place, and they don't put it somewhere where they can see them every day. So like I'll be like, oh, I want to hit $1 million a month in 2023, but I'll only say it once a year. It's like, yeah, no, it won't happen, right? So the frequency at which the frequency of how do you say when something comes in front of you, what is it called? What is it called? It's just like being aware of something, right? Something that is put into your awareness thing. I forgot. And the frequency of that thing coming into your awareness is so important, right? Probably more important than the tactics. Because the reason why most people don't succeed is because they forget. But yeah, man, thank you so much for jumping on this interview. And whenever I see guys like you, I mean, I'm not too older than you, right? I'm 24 or 22. When I see guys like you winning at 22, when I was still fucking making like $2,000 a month at 22, just makes me really happy. And to see that you're not just, it's not that you've hit the success, but it's actually you've understood something. And that is probably even more important than the money you're making today, because I know that with enough time, you're going to be killing it. And can't wait for us to do 50K a month interview. And yeah, on our client retreat, you got to hit that 50K a month to be there. So you better hit that. Yeah,
man,
but yeah, man, thank you so much. And then, yeah, we're going to get the Urus. We're probably going to get everything. You get the Urus, I'll get the Cullinan, and then we're going to be riding through the 6.
Be like that, man. Yeah, man.
Let's go. Yeah. All right, cool. Thank you so much. I'll end this now. And thank you so much. Have an amazing day in Canada. Take care. Appreciate you, bro. Bye-bye.
All right. Thank you, Serge. Thank you.
Hey, thank you for watching my video. One thing that I want to ask you is please like, comment, subscribe, and share it with the people in your circle, people who can find this content helpful. And before you actually leave, I have a 5 days to 50K a month program with the right offers, the right mindset, decision-making, training, everything you need when it comes to scaling an agency, high-ticket coaching or consulting business past 50K per month, from the client acquisition systems to how to actually scale and sustain scale. If you want to access it, click the link below. Yeah, find it helpful.